Hi, it's Megan. I did a review video yesterday, the day before, I can't remember, on the Smashbox Cherry Smoke palette, and I liked it so much I wanted to do a tutorial on it because I think this is such a really fun palette to play with. You can do kind of a neutral look with it, or you can do a really smoky eye look with it. But since it has kind of more these cherry, burgundy, peach undertones to a lot of the shades, even plum a little bit. Plum has got the red in it, but I guess more reddish undertones. It's different than a lot of things I have. So a lot of times with palettes that have a lot of colors, I end up trying to use a lot for a video so you can see the different colors, but when I actually use it, I don't necessarily use all the colors because they don't always meld ideally, or they don't always add. Sometimes more is not better, sometimes less is more. So this palette, I think using more actually is really fun and works better. So I actually am going to start with cheeks and bronzer just because I prefer to do it that way. So I've already got foundation on, and I just used up a concealer, and I just moved. I couldn't find a new concealer. I mean, I know the drawer that they're in, but I haven't looked for it yet. I've got something in my eye. But I'm going to start first with the blush and the bronzer. I skipped the concealer, but I did do a foundation, and I'm playing around with a new foundation. I got a sample for the Ardency In brand I've never used before, and I kind of like it. So if anyone has any comments on the foundation I'm using, it's a little bit more of a full coverage, which for videos is great. I guess you're supposed to water it down or dilute it with your lotion, but I've just been playing with the sample. So I'm actually using Blunt, which is a MAC blush. And the reason I'm using this is because I think the hardest thing about this palette is just that red undertone that a lot of it has. I don't love peach blushes with a shade like this. I don't love pink blushes with a shade like this. Purple is out, like plums are out, in my opinion. Using a bronzer instead of a blush works. And then any of the redder undertones, the Clinique Chestnut, the little flower blushes, that also works. But I've been using Blunt. So Blunt is like a reddish brown, and it's a darker blush, but I find on me it blends really well. So you can also use this shade as a shadow shade, but I'm not going to do that. And then with a smokier eye, I kind of do like to do a little bit of shading on my face, so I'm using a bronzer, and I'm using the Tarte, what is it, Park Avenue bronzer, because it's a matte. And so I'm just gonna do a really soft, honestly, I'm gonna wear this all day today. I don't really like to do heavy shading on my face, just a little bit. I like stronger shading in a video. It works better. In real life, I kind of sometimes feel like I'm walking around brown on my face. So that is done, and then I'm going to do an eyeshadow primer. Lately I've been using the Lancome. It's called the La Base Papier Pro Aquatic. I use it in beige porcelain, and I just like this because I think it's supposed to be waterproof. I don't really take my makeup into the water very often, but I do wear it when I work out. And I like this because it doesn't suck up too much color, and some primers do, and I have a lot of lid space and bigger eyes, and if I put too much color, too deeply pigmented rich color on, I just look overdone. So I have to be careful to kind of blend and mute out colors, as opposed to people who want to build up and highlight and deepen the colors. I kind of need to keep it low-key. Okay, so now I'm going to take this shade right here, and I found out after the video the colors are right here, which I didn't know when I did the review video. So I'm going to use Bear, which is a really great, it's like an ivory pink. Weird to describe it that way, but it really is between the two. Ivory tends to have kind of a yellow base, but this kind of manages to straddle. So I'm going to use that up here as a highlight shade. This is a matte, and then there's a whole million ways to do this. But, God, I really rammed one of those. This is how I'm going to do this one, because this is kind of my favorite way. As I've worn it a number of times, it's my favorite way to do it. Taking this brown shade, which is Unadorned, and I'm putting that on the lid. I'm actually going to use the mirror on this. It's actually really great. So these are so pigmented that even with the less, what is it, absorbent primer, it still goes on pretty dark. And so this brush is maybe a little bit too big for what I'm trying to do here, so I'm going to take a smaller brush. And I'm just going to put that slightly into the crease a little bit. Yeah, the smaller brush actually is a lot more precise and blends a lot better. And then I'm going to blend it just a little bit under the eyes, really softly, because that's going to mostly go away. Now, one thing I'm not going to do today, but you can do, is I'm not going to put anything on my waterline, on the upper or lower, just because I'm going to be wearing this in the daytime and I don't want that dramatic a smoky eye. But if you really want a super dramatic, well, maybe I'll turn this camera off at the end and I'll go get a black eyeliner, because I didn't bring one since I wasn't planning on doing it. At the end of this, I will do that added step at the very end. So anyway, so now we have just the basics. Now comes the fun part. I'm taking just a little, this is a really hard brush. This came in some Urban Decay palette or something, I'm not sure which one. And I'm going to go for this reddish shade right here. And I'm going to put that into the crease. And I had said on the earlier video that this is a matte. I really like these types of shades in the inner crease with a smoky eye on me, just because it really warms up the look. Sometimes the cool tones of a smoky eye can be a little harsh. And then I'm going to take it and put it under. I guess if I were to critique some of the other tutorial videos I've seen, which I shouldn't do, but I'm going to just say one thing. Sometimes people don't really focus on the under eye area, and maybe it's my eye shape, or I don't know, whatever it is. On me, it makes a huge difference. So if you see, as I put this on, how great these shadows blend into one another. Like, I can barely see in my mirror where one begins and the other ends, which I think is kind of cool, because you don't always get that with palettes. Now I'm going to take a tiny little eyeshadow brush. It's an eyeliner brush, and I'm going to take this shade right here, and I'm going to put that, I guess the shade is, the ones I just put in my crease is Rustic, and this is Topaz. And I really like Topaz right in the corner of the eye. And I actually use it to line a little bit. And by the way, you could stop at this point. I just think these shades are so fun to play with that when I was trying out the palette over and over and over again, I just really, and this actually out in the sunshine is super pretty. So I take the Topaz and then blend it a little bit. And then I'm taking this shade right here, which is Oxidize. Again, I'm using just this really fine little brush, and I am putting it under as a liner, kind of most of the way across the eye, but not in this corner and not in this corner. And then I'm going to take the brush again. I'm going to go back to, oh shoot, when I was saying Topaz, it wasn't Topaz, it was actually Shell. I'm going to put that right in here, just because this shade is pretty dark and I really like it, but on me, it opens up my eyes a lot if I put a shimmery little bit of shadow right there. So now I'm going to, this is going to be kind of fun. I wasn't originally going to do it this way. I was going to do it an easier way, but I just decided to go ahead and do it this way. So I'm going to take an eye pencil, and I'm going to use this and then mix in a little bit of the brown, the dark cocoa, as a liner. So this is a Lancome, it's a Kohl, and it's the coffee, and it's very close. It's also a black brown, like the dark cocoa, but this is actually a little bit darker. And you can use the dark cocoa alone, and it actually works really well wet, especially where you get a really strong line, as a liner. But someone had asked me a question about how I got the shadow liners to last longer. And one way is by mixing it with an eye pencil. I really like these Lancome pencils. These come in, this one in particular, the kohl comes in two colors, this brown and then a black. And I just love how the kohl blends. So now I'm taking the cocoa and I'm blending it in, and I only put it in the outer corner here. And now I use my fingers to blend it a little bit more. But you get the same color, you get a little bit of a stronger color if you mix in the shadow with the kohl. The pencil makes it last longer, and the shadow mixed in with the kohl is going to soften the line, so it doesn't, on me, just a really hard line. It just looks like a really hard line. It doesn't work. And so I'll do it on this side too. So I'm going right as far into the corner as I can and still make it look natural. And then I'm also putting it as close into the lashes as I can, which I'm not particularly good at, quite frankly. I still have not found the perfect product. And that's actually why I like putting things on the waterline, especially the upper waterline, is that you just get a better effect, because I'm not really good at getting the shadow into the eyelash itself. And so you see that little white bit of, little bit of skin between the lash and the eye. My lighting looks a little weird. Okay, now I'm not actually going to stop at this point. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, where's my smoky eye brush? My little smoky eye brush, and I'm going to go back and get this little, the red, the rustic, and put a little bit more, mix that in with the brown. And mix it up a little bit here. And now it looks really dark. Put a little bit more of the oxidize again to lighten it up. When you have like a smoky eye look like this and you use one of these lighter shimmery shades under the eye like this, I think it really opens up the eye. Okay, so there's the look. And you can kind of mute, blend. I'm actually going to take a little bit of the dark cocoa and dot that in the crease a little bit to darken it up a little, and then also take it down. This honestly, to me, since it's daytime and I'm going to wear this in the daytime, this is going to be a little dark, so I'm going to smudge it out a little bit after I turn off the camera, but this way you can see it. And then I'm going to use, this is like my new favorite mascara, the Miss Manga L'Oreal mascara. I guess this doesn't work so well on people that have shorter lashes. I have long lashes. They're really light, especially at the end, but they're really long. So I like this for smoky eyes in particular because it's dramatic. And I love the fact that we have all these amazing smoky eye looks, palettes, shadows coming out for fall. I like it when they do the richer jewel tone stuff, sort of. But I have to say I much prefer the smoky eye, which can use the jewel tones, but it's just kind of a different focus. And then I'm going to do a lipstick. So as far as lipstick on this, Smashbox is pushing two in this collection. One is a kind of a shimmery peach, and one is a red. And when I did the review video, I did not buy the lipsticks when I bought the palette. I kind of regretted it. I might go ahead and get them, but I haven't bought them yet. But I did the red, and people seem to like it, so I'm going to do the red now. But this kind of a smoky eye works really well with a very neutral lip. I actually really love nude lip glosses. I'm not a huge lip gloss fan, but I love nude lip glosses. I'm going to take a little blender too. And I'm going to blend this just a little bit so it looks a little bit more natural. And then, like I said, at the end I'm going to turn this off. So you can see I built up the under eye, and it gets gradually wider and a little bit more red as it builds up. Take the red lipstick, blot. If I ever remembered, for one video to bring a Kleenex as I shoot these videos, that would be really great. Instead, I just keep blotting on the back of my hand. So I'm just using Legendary from Smashbox. which is one of my favorite reds. And that's the look. And then I'm going to turn the camera off. My kids, by the way, love when I go like this to pick them up at camp or school. Luckily, I don't have to get out of the car today. But they're like, oh, Mom, really? Okay, I'm going to turn this off and I'm going to go get the black to just do the waterline. 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to take my pencil. That's not that sharp. Great. And I'm actually doing the Lancome again. You can do whatever one you like, obviously. But since I was already with the Lancome, the way I do it, I have this one and then also the Urban Decay Perversion that I like because they're super soft. So all I do is actually put it on as evenly as I can on the upper waterline, and then because they're so soft, they bleed to like a gray on the lower waterline, which looks better on me than if I just put it directly on the lower waterline. If you have contacts or super sensitive eyes, that is a really bad strategy. You're probably better off with a pencil that's not quite as soft. And so since I don't want to, it's going to take about 5 minutes to bleed, I'm just going to do a soft line here because the video won't be running that long. And so now you get the full smoky eye look. For some reason, smoky eyes just need that on the waterline. The one thing that I would say when I went to look in the mirror to grab this pencil, the one thing I really love with the smoky eye, which I don't always do, is just taking this lighter shade right here and putting that really on the inner part of the eye and then right there, because it just opens it up and makes it lighter. It's not as weighed down as a lot of smoky eye looks. So anyway, that's my favorite way of using this palette. I might do a more natural kind of day look with it. I'm not sure if anyone wants to see that tutorial, let me know. But I think that's it. Comments are welcome. I would love to hear from people who have the lipsticks. Subscribe on YouTube, and then also I have a novel on YouTube and I will get a new chapter up soon called Masks, which is about makeup and the masks we wear, and I'll put a link in the description to those chapters. Thank you.